you can see that there's a bunch of rust and things like that. These things are 15 years old already, so it's time for a change. It really is not a lot changing out a water heater, a little bit time consuming and a whole lot heavy. Hello everybody. Today we're going to talk about water heaters. We're going to change out this water heater. I'm out in Pensacola at the Flip property. I'm going to change out this water heater. It's not leaking or anything like that. However, one of the issues that you have with insurance companies around here is that they are very particular about the roof and the water heater. So this is what we have going on. This is an older water heater. It's not leaking, but it needs to be changed out. So new code requires that, at least for Florida anyway, that there's a pan underneath. So what we have here is a 50-gallon tank. We're going to replace it with the same thing. You need to kill the water supply. Also need to kill the power. I already hit the breaker. We're going to test it down here to make sure that there's no power before we go and start disconnecting the wires. All right. So to check it, we're going to take off this front cover here. Underneath here, that's where the water elements are and also where the thermostat is. We're going to pull this plate off, pull this back, and you can see right there, that is your heater element. So before we go disconnect anything, we want to make sure that we don't have any power going to it. Okay, so what I did is I just took the panel off, and this is our meter. We have it on volts. So this is how you check to see if there's line voltage coming in without taking that other cover off. Just go to this one here. You can see, maybe you can see, we had 240 volts going through. Now we're going to kill the breaker and check that again. Okay, we're ready for the recheck. We had 240 before, now we have 0. Okay, so we know that the power's off, and now we can go ahead and we'll drain the tank and we'll disconnect it from the top. Guys, it's really no surprise. Our water heater drain was plugged up from all the sediment and things like that have just built up over the years. It's pretty typical. So what we're going to do, we do have a positive shutoff over here. Checked it with a hot water faucet on the other side, and there's no water coming out, so that tells us that valve is holding nicely. So we're going to go ahead and separate all this, take all this stuff off and disconnect it and pull it away so that we can drill our hole for the drain line that needs to be installed in the pan. Let's go ahead and get started here. So I'll tell you, one of the things I always do is, whenever possible, I'll use a backup wrench on any plumbing work that I'm doing. And the reason for that is, especially when you're dealing with old pipes and if you're using like steel, galvanized, things like that, it's really important for that stuff. The pipe will actually spin, and when it does that, it creates a leak in the wall. So don't really have to mess around with backup wrench here because all this stuff is junk, but definitely over here and back here, we need to make sure that we're using backup wrenches because we'll get ourselves in some trouble if we don't. And really the purpose of the backup is just to keep that pipe from twisting or moving at all. So the only thing moving is the joint that you want to move. And everything else is still static in its spot and not giving you a hard time. So this is completely disconnected now. What we're going to do is I'm going to use a dolly and pick this whole thing up full of water and walk it out the back door and just drop it on the ground and let it drain out naturally because our drain plug down below isn't working. So we've got the old water heater out, have the brand new water heater here. I've already installed the pan so that you can take a look. Here you go. There you go. Not a whole lot to see, just one of the code requirements around here. Now what we're getting ready to do is we're going to put this sucker into the pan. There we go, we did it. All right guys, so what we're going to do, we're just reconnecting that. I did the joints that you can't see already, and we're going to knock out these last 2 joints. And then as for these, the hot and cold water, we're just going to use flexible connectors and accomplish that. All right, these have gaskets in them, so there's no real need to get all crazy. Alright, there we have it. The moment of truth. Now that everything's connected, we're going to water check it. We're going to turn all the water on, and make sure that the tank is completely full before we connect power. And the reason for that is you can burn out your heating elements if they're not submerged in water. Alright, so I turned on the water faucet, the hot water side. There we go. And that, my friends, is how you install a water heater. The only thing left to do is flick the power on and let the heater get to work.